So, the same person who I was speaking about, who is so easily able to operate in good faith in his workplace, it's a different story in the home environment. And it's so much like this for all of us, especially as we're gathering in the holiday season and we're going to see all of our family members. This poor fellow, whenever he came into this home environment, rather than really operating in good faith with his spouse, he was often very attached to the position of his two children. He came from a background where he was really treated emotionally abusively, sometimes physically, and he over-identified with his children whenever his spouse got really mad at them and really was disciplining. And he would try to intervene with a loving approach and try to make the kids feel loved and not so wounded, which of course was incredibly conflicting for the kids. They have one parent disciplining and one parent trying to distract them with loving messages. So that was not an example of operating in good faith with your spouse. The contract we have in a family is first and foremost with the person that you've married, that you want to be understanding of what's going on for them, and you want to have their back. You want to be there with them and for them. And he was really creating a divisiveness by being there for the children and kind of ignoring and negating what she was saying. Now she, on the other hand, was a bit over the top also, and that was another family issue from her upbringing. So sometimes her disciplining was totally over the top, and it was all about her issues as well. So quite frequently this whole scenario would be 4 children in the room instead of 2 parents and 2 children. Everybody was launched in their past issues, overcompensating for what they were feeling, and the children were just totally mixed up. And isn't that a common scenario for our upbringing? So to operate in good faith, you really have to be able to recognize what you're doing. You have to be able to feel your feelings and all of the urges that draw you into reaction patterns. You have to be able to recognize you're reacting. And when you actually look at your history and you review what's going on in your life, you'll be able to see those patterns quite well. So he was able to get in touch with that feeling of identifying with the victim, and he needed to release his own feelings from his own family scenarios where he was feeling victimized. Letting go of feeling the unfairness, letting go of feeling controlled and trapped and not heard. All of these very vulnerable feelings where we're not respected. And when he let that go, he could then have a different approach to supporting his wife. For example, he could take her aside into the other room when she was really over the top and be able to empathize with her. Empathy and operating in good faith comes from really being grounded and centered and not in our emotional reactive polarities. So if he's loving and caring about why she's so upset, he can take her politely into another room and say, I'm confused. I don't know why you're so upset. What's going on? Let's talk about it just for a minute. And they could process that, and she could get to a place where she could move beyond her reactive issue. And they could both then enter as a united front, as parents who have to be able to tell the truth to children about what is and isn't acceptable. And children have to learn how to operate in good faith. That's the whole job of parenting, is to be able to look at the whole situation and be respectful of other people and what they need and what they're saying. To care about the fact the mother was really upset about a certain behavior pattern. To be interested enough in it and to be able to say, to link in some self-discipline in order to look at the whole situation and come to terms with operating in good faith within a family. So, can you just open to that whole empathetic, heartfelt truthfulness that will always set you free? To have the courage to say what you have to say. Whether it's with a spouse that's over the top, find your heart and do what you need to do. Whether it's children who are not listening, find your heart and say what you need to say and get them to think about it. Operate in good faith with the truth. Courageousness and just being in that balanced position and not worrying about what's going to happen to me if I say these things, letting that go. Have a happy holiday season.